Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mal's Board Game Room. So I am doing my top games that I played during the month of November. We're beginning December now. I'm in full-fledged Christmas mode, and actually that will reflect in the games that I've picked or played in November. I actually got my Christmas tree up mid-November. I'm so crazy about Christmas. I start early, and I've been craving playing Christmas games, so there will be some reflection of that. Now, before I get into that, let me show you the stats for November. So I have played 41 plays of 39 games. Oh, what location? It's all been at home. But 3% of my, oops, sorry, my alarm's going off. Played 3% of my game collection that month. So I think that was pretty good, actually. I'm satisfied with how my November turned out. So let's get started. In number 9 position is the 12 Days of Christmas. This game is created by Dr. Gordon Hamilton, which is the designer of Santorini, and I really love this game. Now, what's really cool about it is there is one number 1 card in the game. Then there's 2 number 2, 3 number 3, 4 number 4, and so on, kind of following the song The 12 Days of Christmas. And it's a trick-taking game. And what's interesting with it is you'll have the leader, whoever starts the trick, the round, will play one of 3 ways. They can either play a single card, or they can play a run, or they can play multiple cards of the same number. And whatever they end up playing, everybody else has to play the same. So if I played a run of 7, 8, 9, 10. So I play a run 7, 8, 9, 10. The next player has to also play a run of 2 or more cards. So they can play a longer run, they can play a shorter run, that's fine. But they have to play a run that has a number lower than my lowest number. So I played a 7 as my lowest number. They would have to play a run that has a lower number than that. And so on. So if I played a single card, then the next player has to play a single card that is lower. And you keep going around and around until somebody gets rid of all of their cards. So whoever gets rid of all of their cards first, they gain a present. And then whoever has the most cards left in their hand, they have to give away one of their presents to the person who just won the trick, if they have won a present already. And depending on the length of the game, you'll either play with 6 presents or 12 presents, and all the presents have been distributed. Whoever has the most presents wins. So it can change around depending on if you like go out and somebody has a mitt full. It's like, great, now I'm losing one of my presents. So it is so neat. Artwork is beautiful. The cards are great. And then, of course, you're trying to remember the songs. Like, okay, 5 Golden Ring is obvious. But, like, what is, like, a partridge in a pear tree? That's the one, and so on. So it's super cool. Beautiful game. Super fun trick-taking game. And it was just perfect to kind of get into the holiday spirit. Then in my number 8 position, it's another trick-taking game. And this one is not Christmas theme at all, but it's called the Dwarf King. It's an older game by Bruno Fiducci, and it's one that I really enjoy. What's really cool about this is every round is different and you don't know how it's going to play. So you'll have all these cards. It's very cartoony, fun looking cards. You'll be a special card that gets added each round. That's going to be whoever has this card will affect the game in some way. And then whoever has a specific card will be the one who starts the trick. And the other one who has a specific card will be the one who decides what the rule is for that trick this round. And then you'll pick up a tile and it'll have 2 conditions. And it could be 4s and 9s are worth positive points if you end up with them in your hand. So you want to win trick that has 4s and 9s in them, and then that will count for points. Or it could be 4 and 9s are negative points. So they decide how they want to play. So while I have no 4s and 9s, I don't know if I'll end up with any of those. So I'm going to say that they're negative points. And you play so many rounds, and then at the end of the game is whoever has the most points wins the game. This one just plays fresh all the time because things changes up always. And then when you're just like, okay, well, I have these two choices. What do I have in my hand? What do I think is going to happen? Which one should I pick? Which one would be more beneficial? So it is really interesting, very fun. We ended up playing, I think we were five players, like max count. And we just had a blast with it. Then in my number 7 position, another trick-taking game. I've been on a trick-taking game kick, apparently. But I ordered this one because I just love the look of it. So Hollyoak by Rio Grande Game is a trick-taking game about the season. And I was reading up on it and I was like, okay, this sounds super intriguing. And I got it to kind of have in my get me in the Christmas spirit mood. This isn't a Christmas game. It's not even let me take this logo out of the way here just so you can see the full game. But it's not even a winter game because it's all 4 seasons are represented. But when I look at it, to me, it feels Christmassy. So I don't know. But here's what the cards look like. Let's go back here. And you have cards for every season. So whoever has the 1 of spring will start the round. So they'll put the 1 in spring. And then you have to follow suit if you can. So the next player, if they have a spring card, have to play a spring card. Now, some of the cards, you'll notice the number has a little square around them, and those cards are worth points. So it doesn't matter how many tricks you win per se, it's those cards that are going to count for points. That 9 is worth 2, the 7 is going to be worth 1, and you can tell by the number of stars that's at the top of the card. So you're trying to get those cards and win that trick. So then we're playing spring. So if you don't have a spring card, you can play any other card. But if you play the next season, you cause the seasons to change, and then all of a sudden summer is trump. So whoever has the highest, but like in that round. So I played the 1 of spring. The next person played the, I don't know, 7 of spring. Maybe that one is worth points and they're hoping to kind of be able to keep it. And then the next person plays a 3 of summer. Well, he caused it from going to spring to summer. So now trump is summer. So now he's winning. Then you can't change season more than once in one hand. But now it's like, oh, great. Now it's summer. So it's just, I found that so interesting. I really enjoyed the card play. I really enjoyed the artwork of it. So Hollyoaks is my number 7. Then in number 6 position is more of a party game, and that was pictures. So I had a package show up at my door, and I didn't order. I wasn't expecting anything, and I opened it, and Pictures from Rio Grande Game was in there. So right away, I ordered Pictures Christmas because I knew that was an expansion that was available. And we ended up playing with both games. And then I had seen a lot of things about Pictures. I couldn't grasp exactly how this game played. Like, to look at it, I was like, I don't understand. So I was impressed though. So you have all these pictures, and then you shuffle these cards, and they're double-sided, and you create a grid of these pictures, and you have like the letters on the side and the number on the top. So we have a grid of pictures. Then you'll take a bag that has a bunch of tokens, and you'll draw in, and you'll pull one out, and it'll give you a combination, maybe B3. So your picture that you need to represent is B3, which can't really tell there, but it's 2 horses, one facing you, one on the side behind it. So that's what you got to represent. Now, you have different material to do this. So one of them is 2 pieces of shoestrings, and you just try to arrange them to kind of create your image that you're trying to do. Some are just a bunch of blocks that you would arrange in a certain way, trying to showcase the image that you have. One are little color cubes that you're going to create a 3x3 little square inside of this little frame, and try to, by color, get your image represented best you can. One is little sticks and stones, and you're gonna try to arrange these in a fashion that would hopefully show what you want. And then the Christmas one added, oh, sorry, with the base game, there's also cards that has a bunch of icons on them, and you would just arrange these icons to kind of hopefully represent what's on the picture. So those what's the base game came. The Christmas expansion added 2 more ways of showcasing. So the one that you can see is the Christmas plate with a bunch of tokens that are Christmas ornaments, and then the way that you arrange. So that was mine. I did have B3 at the time. So those are the 2 horses. So you see the apples with the cinnamon stick sticking down, and then an upside down gingerbread cookie. That was the one horse. The other is the other horse. And but it was good. They guessed what it was. So if you successfully guess from what they've represented with the materials that they have, you get a point for guessing correctly for each person. Sorry, and I forgot to mention the second one that the Christmas expansion added. This one's interesting. Like, you get a shield, you get a bunch of items. You know, like there's a cinnamon stick, there's a cotton ball, there's a rock, there's little pieces of, like, a bunch of little things, and you have this pouch, and you would put items in there that will represent the image, and you pass the pouch, and people reach in and feel, and like, okay, well, there's a stick and a rock, and that was the bear on the log. You know, so it was like, it was such an interesting game. So what's super neat as well is once you've done and you've guessed and then you collected your point, then you pass your material on to the next player. You take the new material and then you draw again and you redo this with a new set of material. So you get to try everything that's being played with. I really enjoyed this. I was impressed. I thought I would like it, but I did not understand how the game played. We had a blast with it, and that was Pictures, my number 6. Then in number 5 position is After Us. After my sister's wedding, she got married at the beginning of November in my house, so my game room was completely taken over. So after that was kind of all dismantled and we're back into a game room, I was like, hey, I'm really craving playing something. So me and Lee ended up playing After Us. And this game is so cool. It's a deck building game. So you have your cards. Everybody starts with the same cards. You shuffle, you draw 4. And what's really interesting and unique to this game is you then have these 4 cards that you're going to organize and lay out in any order that you want. But what you're trying to do is kind of get those, because on these cards there's black partial frames, and you're trying to set the cards side by side so that you complete a frame, and whatever's in that frame gets activated. So if you don't complete a frame, you don't activate that one. Then depending on how you've organized everything, you're going to collect resources. You're going to have the ability to reactivate or trade resources for points or other resources. And you're going to do all of these actions, and then at the end you end up with so many resources. And we have like a fruit, a flower, a seed, and batteries. Like, it, I think, is kind of what you kind of end up with. And then based on what you've collected and what you have, after you've done that, you're going to go through your 3 tokens that have like one different type of monkey that will represent which card you're able to purchase. Now, also, depending on the card that you want to go for, some requires specific resources to purchase. 3 for level 1, 6 for level 2. And then you have the chimpanzee at the end, where you can use any resources as long as it's 3 of the same resources or 6 of the same resources. And you're collecting these cards and they get added into your discard. And then when you run out of your deck, you reshuffle, then you take the 4 and you lay them out. I love the figuring out, laying out. What do I want? What am I trying to complete? Oh, I really like that. I need to connect that with this. And it is so cool. It is so cool. It has like a Planet of the Apes feel to it. And we had watched a movie not too long ago after we played this game, so it was cool. But it's whoever reaches 40 points, I want to say. I think it's 40. Might be more. I can't read it from here. But whoever kind of goes around the board triggers the end of the game. And then at the end is whoever has the most points is the winner. and just such an interesting game. Then in my number 4 position, I have Endeavor Age of Sail. That's the original. Endeavor Deep Sea is the sequel to that game that just kind of got distributed through the Kickstarter. And I had bought this one up, and I'm really loving it. So similarities to the other game. First of all, the storage. In Age of Sail as well as in Deep Sea, every player have all their tokens in one container. Now, Age of Sail was all in plastic. This one is more eco-friendly, and it has like the pressed cardboard. You have the tiles that you can add each round. That's in a really well sorted tray as well for both games also. And the player board, as you play, you will have different that you can kind of move up. Different tracks that you can kind of upgrade on. And the more that you upgrade, the more you have access to, and eventually will start providing points as well. And the other thing that was interesting is depending on where you are on the track, how many workers you have. And as well on another track, how many workers you can kind of pay to bring back into your worker pool. Because otherwise they clutter some of the actions that you can activate. You got to be able to bring them back in order to be able to do that action. You need to have the workers available to complete the action. So both games definitely very similar with that. Now, Age of Sail was very much about kind of area control, spreading, and then like sailing around and place settling, kind of created settlements. This one is more about submarines, and you're diving, going down and kind of exploring the ocean, and depending on how deep you go and how wide you can go. Now, the way that I have it set up on my table here, I had to shift things around because once you start diving, you run out of room. But you can complete different things that will allow you to put tokens onto the map that will give you access to more things that you can kind of move up on your track. Good planning is important in this game. And at the start of each round, you bring in a new scientist or a new specialist that will do different things. Eventually, you can evolve them as well, kind of level them up, make them more specialized so that they're just better at what they do. So the action is a little bit more powerful. So all of that is really good. But I had got a bunch of scientists then to be able to do eco work, but my submarine was nowhere near the tiles that could do that. And I was like, oh, I went the wrong way. So now I'm spending my time trying to go back to reach the things that I had accumulated. So you really want to pay attention and it was my first time playing, right? So I was kind of, I don't know, I'll just grab this one, I guess. And which is completely fine if I had gone that way and I was available to do those actions. So it's kind of interesting where on the map are the actions that you want to activate. Make sure that you locate towards that to have the proper specialist that'll support doing that. This is scenario based. This was just scenario 1, and that's where that big tile or the tile in between the two player board kind of represents there. I think they're double-sided, so I think there might be 10 to 20 scenarios. So every time you play, you can play the same scenario again, you can change it up. It was a really interesting game. Now, I love Age of Sail. I have to play this one a few more times before I know if I have a favorite, but definitely they play different enough that owning both makes a lot of sense. So that was my number 4. In number 3 position, I have the White Castles. Now, this game has been played at my house a few times, just not by me, because I would have an event and it was set up at that table and I'm playing at this table. It looks super intriguing. And is one that I kind of wanted to try. Now, we played this one with the matcha expansion. So in the picture, you'll see there is the matcha expansion. You get different player board. There's one new resources. And there's a whole new board at the bottom, which also brings in a new dice, which means that you get more actions you can accomplish each round. Because this is a worker placement, but it's a dice placement. So on your turn, you will select a dice either from the front or from the back of the bridge. And they're all in numerical order, right? So if you go at the front, you're going to get the higher pip. Higher pip, depending on where you're going, might be able, because if you play, like, each location has a dice symbol, so you have to play a dice symbol ideally of that value or higher. So you having higher pip dice are really good because you can be like, okay, great, I have a 6, I'm going to cover this 4, so I can do that action. Now if there is a discrepancy between the 4 and the 6, then you get to collect money for that difference, and then you get some of the resources for that. And if you were below, that's fine. You could play a 3 on a 4, but then you would have to pay a resource for that pip difference. So it was really interesting. And then based on where you go, then you can actually place some of your workers. And there was 4 different kind of workers that you can place depending on where on the map that you're going. So at the bottom in the matcha board, you would place your geishas. You would put your warriors in the training area. So you're placing all of these. So it's like dice placement that it comes into worker placements, and depending on where you are, like the different things that scores. There's a lot of different ways to score points. You have the top track that as you upgrade on there, you get points for that. You have like the, main village area. And then depending on how many meeple you had in there would be worth so many points, but then it would be also for your trainers area, depending on where you are in the training, how high you went, and you could have multiple at the same level, but that created a multiplier. So you would multiply by the number of workers you had in the village to get points. So I had kind of concentrated on putting people in the village, and so I ignored most of the bottom area of the board, but it was interesting. It was so neat. And Devere is big for creating like fairly hefty games that fits in really compact boxes, which, games take place. So having these compact games that are still nice big games is really neat. I love that. Great game. The White Castle was amazing. Then in my number 2 position, I have Art Decko. So this is another game that showed up I wasn't expecting by Rio Grande Games. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was really excited about it. I really like the art collecting games that I've played so far, where most of them are bidding. This one is a deck building game. So I was like, okay, I am intrigued and I am curious at how to play this plays. And oops, I went the wrong way here. And it was so good. So you have the different art styles and you have tokens on the back that kind of keeps track of it. At the first, all of your painting has a value of 1. So, and you'll be they're in your hand, but you also have cards that have like a coin value to them. And then the coin value cards can have also like an action that you can activate if you trash, like you discard the card, but then you trash it, it comes out of your hand to activate that special ability as well. And then you're collecting these, you have these painting, and then depending on their values at the start, it's on 1, you can go and buy paintings from the different museums that along the bottom of the board there, or you can also spend to buy some purchasing power. The 3s have a special ability. The 5 is just like buying power. So you would kind of be collecting that. Now, every time you purchase a painting, it moves the value of the painting on the track. So you kind of move it up. And then when it moves enough that it reaches the next level, then it changes the value of the painting. So the value goes up and you keep track in front of you. So now paintings of that genre that you have in your hand gives you more purchasing power to get more painting or coin cards. And so that keeps going up, but it also determines at the end of the game what the point value is going to be for those paintings. So you want to try to kind of build up what you have a lot of in your hand, right? So So you're doing that. Then also at some point you want to go and be able to display your paintings in the galleries, and that's the top part of the of the board there. And then when you do that, first one to do that gets to collect points, and then you kind of score the points for doing it. And so there's value to be placing it because it gives you points, and then it kind of starts filling up the gallery. Because if you ever completely fill up a gallery of all the type of paintings that that particular gallery wants, because that's kind of predetermined with tiles at the beginning of the game, then you get to activate that end of game scoring that's attached to that one. So it's like, okay, great, now I'm doing this. So it gives you more points. So you want to be able to place paintings there to get those access to those points. But any paintings you put there are no longer in your hand. So you lose that purchasing power that they were providing as well. The whole thing is so interesting. It was so neat. I absolutely love this game. So that was why it's in my number 2 position. Then my number 1 position for the month of November is a game that I have on Kickstarter. I don't own it yet. It is coming, and that is Santa's Workshop. So they did a Kickstarter where this one was available, and this is the one that I backed. Because I'm Christmas crazy. I love the idea. I have a lot of Christmas games. Most of them are small card games. This one is not a small card game. This is a hefty worker placement game. The board is double-sided, so you have the main board, I guess. There's an other version that's just a little bit more streamlined, I guess, kind of more family friendly version. But we play with the, like, I guess a little bit more, not complicated, but the advanced side. But this is a very simple game to play. It's a very satisfying game to play, and it looks beautiful. So you will select one of the workers that you're going to be playing as. I was the gnomes, and then I had as my special worker, the snowman. And you're going to be collecting letters to Santa because those are the orders, the toy orders that are coming in. And then when you get them, it requires a certain amount of resources. So you're going to send your workers to go and collect those particular resources, whether it be metal or I think wood and fabric. And then there's also concept tiles that you need to collect because you got to put concept together of creating this toy, and there's different complexity to them. Some are very simple, some are very more complicated, but then depending on complexity, they're going to be worth a different amount of points. So when you complete them, you get so many points. There's reindeers that you can kind of create set collections of reindeer, but then they also kind of give you an ability for getting them as well. Santa comes and does an inspection every 3 days, making sure everything is running smooth. And that's when you take all of your completed toy that you've completed and you put them in the sleigh and you get points for that. And if you have the most, you get more points. And then you have ornaments that you can put out, and then you'll put them out on the tree, and depending on what you cover, what you get, and depending on what's on the ornament, what you get. So say, okay, if I've been collecting, I'm not getting enough wood, well, then that's good. I'll go here, and it's kind of gives me that resources, and then it gives me this one here as well. And then you can specialize your gnomes as well. So it's like, hey, well, or your workers, depending on who you have. It's like, great. So this gnome is really good at getting metal. So whenever I go and collect metal, I actually take one more than what the metal is creating. And depending on where you go, how much you would get of that resources. And most of the locations you send your workers to, you need to spend coal to be able to accomplish them. So you can go to the mine to fill up your coal, but then you can spend some wood or different things to kind of open up so that you have a bigger storage for coal as well. It's really well thought out. It is so thematic. It's beautiful and it is fun, and I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait for my copy to come and to play this again and again, especially at Christmas. It's the perfect Christmas game. So that was my number 1, Santa's Workshop. These are the ones that made my top 9 here. Now, Santa's Workshop, they put the first edition, the picture of the first edition on there. And these are all the games that I ended up playing in November. Great games. Like, honestly, some of them should be on the list, but I can only fit 9. So it was a good month, and I've played a lot of great games, and it was exciting. So be sure to follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I'm also on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. I also do a podcast with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist, and my YouTube channels, Mel's Board Game Room. So thanks so much for tuning in. Bye, everybody.